student. So today we are continuing the previous part of repetition construct, that is looping and iteration. We have discussed looping and now we are going to cover the iteration. The command which is used for performing iterative statements in Python is for statement. So today we will learn about the for statement. But before going to the for statement, let me again clear the difference between the looping and iteration. Looping and iteration both involve repetition of a particular task. When a task is repeated again and again, that is called looping or iteration. If the repetition is based on a particular condition which can occur at any time, at any moment, then it is called looping. And if the repetition of the task is based on certain counter, or you can say this much times, say n number of times the task has to be completed, then in that particular case it is termed as iteration. Take another example. Say suppose you have to take part in your 800-meter race. Then in that particular case, if you are running on a track of 200-meter, then you will start running, and as you complete the first spell on the track, you will count one, that is one circle, one complete coverage of the track has been completed. That means you have covered 200-meter. Then again you are continuing the running onto the track, and then when you complete the second spell, you count it 2, similarly 3, and then 4. So when all the 4 spell has been completed onto the track, that means you have completed your 800-meter race, and then you stop. Or you can do it vice versa also, like say when you are starting your running, then you can think that now you have to take 4 round of this particular track. Once first round completed, then you decrease the counter, say now you have to take 3 rounds only, then you have to take 2 rounds only, and then finally you have to take 1 round, and after completion of the last round your counter becomes 0. That means now you have to stop. So in both the cases, when you are taking part in the 800-meter race on a 200-meter track, you are counting, and where your counting reaches 4 or your counting reaches 0, then you stop. So here running onto the track is a task, and which you are performing repetitively again and again. But here when your counter reaches a particular value, then you will stop. So this is your iteration construct. So we are starting with iteration construct for loop in Python. For loop in Python, unlike other programming language where the for statement always iterates over an arithmetic progression of numbers, Python for statement also iterates over the item of any sequence, list, tuple, string in order they appear in the sequence. Now what this particular means, basically when you are working with other for statements, other language for statement, then exactly what you are doing, say you are working onto an arithmetic progression, like say if I take the example of C programming language or C++ programming language or even Java. So we use the statement like for I is equal to 0. This is what I equal to 0. I is a counter and its initial value is 0. It will start from 0. I is less than 5. That is the condition, exit condition of the loop, that your repetition or your task will terminate, your loop will terminate when I becomes 5. It will be repeated till the I is less than 5. And then you are writing I is equal to I plus 1. That is each time I will be increased by 1. So this type of iteration is called arithmetic progression, because the first value of I will be 0, then 1 will be added to it, it will be 1, then 1 will be added to it, it will be 2, then 1 will be added to it, it will be 3, then 1 will be added to it, it will be 4. In all the cases I is less than 5, and then 1 will be added to it and it becomes 5. Now 5 is not less than 5, so you exit from the loop. This is what we call arithmetic progression. Okay, but in Python there is a versatility of for language that you are not going to use for the arithmetic progression only, but you can use the Python for statement for iteration over the items of any sequence. What are the sequences? In data types we have discussed the sequence. The first sequence is string. String is your sequence. Then you are having list. Then you are having tuple. So if you want to process individual character of a string, then you can use for statement. If you want to process individual list, individual element of a list or a tuple, then you can use for statement. So here I have gone through three statement. If you see, for I, this is your counter. For I in range 5, range 5 is function, general function, which is used to generate an arithmetic progression. We will discuss about this particular function as we are going to use it in most of the programs. So for I in range 5, it means, say, i's initial value will be 0 and it will be move up to 5, not 5, up to 5. Up to 5 means, say, I will be 0, then I will be 1, then I will be 2, then I will be 3, then I will be 4, and loop will repeat. So this is the loop body. You can see this is the loop body which will be repeated again. So when your I becomes 5, you will exit from the loop. Okay, so this is a counter based loop. This is arithmetic progression, you can see. And here we are saying for I in Pawan, it means I will be P, then next time I will be A, then I will be V, then I will be A, then I will be N, and then I will be none, nothing. So when I will be nothing, none, then you will exit. So here we are printing print I. So it is printing the value of I. I is initially 0, then becomes 1, 2, 3, 4. When it becomes 5, you exit. Similarly, here I is first P, capital P you see, then A, then V, then A, then N, and then I becomes none and you exit. And similarly, in this particular case, this is a list of string. You see the square brackets. This is a list of string. So for I in Ram, Shyam, Divakar, Deepti. So for I in elements, these elements. So I means in this particular list, the first value of I is Ram. Then I becomes Shyam. Then I becomes Divakar. Then I becomes Deepti. And what exactly we are doing? We are printing I and we are printing length of I. Okay. So we are printing the I value and we are printing the length of I. So I is Ram, its length is 3. Then I becomes Shyam, I is Shyam, its length is 5. Then I is Divakar, its length is 4. Then I is Deepti, its length is 6. Each time you can say, since for statement is a block statement, we are beginning it with the colon sign, that is the beginning of the block, and we are providing a proper indent here as to represent the block. This statement is part of for block. Okay, so this is your for statement. Like you can use it as an arithmetic progression, you can use it as a sequence of a string, you can use it as a sequence of a list or tuple or anything else. Hope it is clear. Now the range function, as I had told, most of the time we use the range function. So range function is very important function in Python, the range function for iteration. Range function generates an iterator of arithmetic. It simply generates a series. It has a starting value, it has an ending value. It will not exactly the ending value, but up to the ending value. It means less than the ending value. And the steps, how much change you want between the two values. So the range function generates a series of numbers which is given in the range. It mainly takes 3 arguments. There are 3 arguments, but you can use range function with 1 argument only, that is a stop. You can provide only the stop value. You can use the range with start and stop. When you are using with start and stop, it generates a number between start and less than stop, and it increases by 1. It means if the first value is 5, the next will be 6, the next will be 7, the next will be 8, and so on. The increment of 1 will be there. Okay. Or you can use the start. You can specify the start value, you can specify the stop value, where it is going to end, and you can specify the step, positive or negative. Okay. So these are the 3 syntax which you can use here. So start, this is an optional argument, that's why it is written here in square bracket in the syntax. It is an integer number from which the series will start. Okay, then stop, this is the compulsory item, this is the only thing which you have to provide within the range function. Okay, so integer number before which the series will last, it means the integer number so that the series will be generated up to this number, not exactly this number, up to this number. It will not come to this particular number, it will be always less than this number. So we can say the range of the integer ends at stop minus 1. If it is 5, 5 minus 1, that is 4. Okay, if it is 10, 10 minus 1, that is 9. And step, the step is the integer number, it is again an integer number which determines the change between each integer in the sequence. Change in the sequence, like from the first value, how the second value will be derived, how the third value will be derived, what is the, you can say it is the difference between the two consecutive values of the series. Okay, if it is plus positive, if it is positive, that means your series is in ascending order. If it is negative, that means your series in descending order. If you are using the fractional numbers, it will ignore it, it will not perform any operation. This is like with range stop. This is the easiest syntax we are referring. Say suppose if I am saying range 5, so we are talking about end. We provided the end. End is 5 here. So it means by default the start is 0. By default the step is 1. Okay, that means the value will start from 0. So value will start from 0. The change in the value will be 1. That is from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and value will be less than 5. Less than 5 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is your output. Then next second syntax is range start comma stop, from start to stop. So like here range 5 comma 10, it means it will start from 5. Start from 5 means the first value, initial value will be 5, and up to 10, not including 10. Okay, up to 10, not including it. So and step is not given again, so by default the step is 1. So it will start from 5, then next value will be 6. By default step is 1, then 7, then 8, then 9, and it will not reach up to 10. So this is your second syntax. In second syntax, suppose if I write here range 10 comma 5, if suppose I am using start value as 10 and end value as 5, what happens? Nothing. It will give you none. No value will be produced. Okay, since you start from 10, then once you say 10 plus 1, it will be 11, because the step is by default 1. So by increasing you will never reach to 5. So if you are giving range like 10 comma 5, it will do nothing. Then we are having range start, stop, and step. Range like 5, 10, 2, that means the start value is 5, ending value is 10, and step is 2. So you can see 5 plus 2 7, plus 2 9, 9 plus 2 becomes 11, so less than 10. Similarly here 5 11 2, 5 11 2 will also produce the same result. 5 plus 2 7, plus 2 9, and 9 plus 2 is 11, but the series will be less than 11. Then range 10 comma 5 minus 1, decreasing order, minus 1, decreasing order. So start from 10, then minus 1 9, minus 1 8, minus 1 7, minus 1 6, but not 5, not including 5. Note it, your iteration sequence will never include stop in your data. Okay, so this is your range statement, different form of range statement which you can use. And now it depends upon you how you want to use it, right? It depends upon, like say suppose I want to make a program to print the power of 2. See, program to print power of 2. Okay, program to print power of 2. So how it will be? For I in range, say I want to create up to 10, 2 to the power 10. So I in range 10, print 2 to the power I is equal to 2 to the power I. Sufficient. Then say suppose I want to say print end of program. Now if you run it, 2 to the power 0 is 1, 2 to the power 1 is 2, 2 to the power 2 is 4, then 2 to the power 10 is 1024. So this is how you can go with. Okay, if I want to produce the data in symmetry, I can use /t also. In place of using the gap, I can use /t. You know /t, horizontal tab. Okay. So no need to use it here. No need to use it here, but you can use like so this. So when you exit of the loop, that is when I is your 11, then you exit from the loop. So you come to this particular place. One very good thing, what is the value of I now? Suppose I want to print the value of I. When you exit from the loop, what is the value of I? Will it be 10 or will it be 11? What do you think? Guess. It is always 10. When the value reaches to the 10, you exit. That means it will never be 11. So when you are out of the loop, the value of I is 10, the last value of I. Okay. So before increasing, it checks. Before increasing, it simply checks. So you can say your loop is actually executing up to n minus 1. N is your stop value. So this is how you can use the range function. Okay. This is the program for prime numbers. Just compare this particular thing with other programming language, so you will find the program finding of prime numbers in Python is very easy. Now this is the program we are using basically to find the prime number between 2 to 10. Okay, so you can specify 2 to n also. On 2 to 10 means 2 to 9. For us, 2 to 10 means range is 2 to 10. It means it will start from 2, moves up to 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is how. So for we want to check the numbers which are prime in between 2 to 9. Okay, as you know, 1 is not a prime number, neither composite number also. And you know very well which numbers are prime numbers. The numbers which are divisible by 1 and itself, or in other words you can say the number which are not divisible by any number between 2 to n minus 1. 2 to n minus 1. If I want to check whether 5 is a prime number or not, so it should not be divisible by any number between 2 to 4, 2, 3, 4. If it is divisible by any of the number by 2, 3, 4, then it is not a prime number. So for n in range 2 to 10, what it will do? It will simply generate series of n with value 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, 8, 9, and stop. Now in the loop we are using another loop. This is the another for loop. Now in this for loop I am creating another counter x. So now x in range 2 to n. 2 to n means less than n. Say if your n is 2, so 2 comma 1, start comma stop. So when start is greater than stop and there is no step defined, then it will do nothing, none. Loop will not execute. So when the loop will not execute, what happens? What happens? If this condition is false, loop will not exit, then you will come to else. We are using the else statement. This is what I am going to discuss. With the for or with the while, with the loop you can say, with the repetition, you can use else also. So you can use else with if. So if the condition fails, you jump to else. And here also, if the condition fails, this is when you are not having a value of x between this particular range, whatever range you are specifying, then the condition becomes false. And when the condition becomes false, you jump to where? Else. So when you exit from this for loop, you jump to else. So you come to else, and in else, this is the message I have written: loop fell through without finding a factor. It means 2 is not divisible by any number. So you jump to here and it print n is a prime number, that is 2 is a prime number. Initially your n was what? Your n was 2. So 2 is a prime number. And then again loop starts. Again you continue to the loop, outer loop. Okay, you exit from the inner loop, but still you are in the outer loop. Now your n becomes 3. So for x in range 2 comma 3, 2 comma 3 means a number 2 will be generated. Now you come to here. If n percentage x is equal to 0, no, 3 percentage 2 is not equal to 0. 3 is not divisible by 2. 3 is not an even number. So what happens? This condition is false. So when this condition is false, that means you exit from you continue into the loop. You continue into the loop again. And when you continue into the loop, now the next value of x will be what? 3, which is not possible. N is 3. It should be less than 3. So you exit from the loop. When you exit from the loop, again you jump to the x and it says 3 is a prime number. Of course 3 is a prime number, but take the example of 4. N is what? N is 4. So for x in range 2 comma 4, that is series is 2 comma 3. So x will be 2 and x will be 3. So if n percentage x, yes, what is n? 4. 4 percentage 2 is equal to 0. Yes, 4 is divisible by 2. You come to here. It prints what? N, that is 4 equals 2 into 2. 2 into 2. 2 into 2 is 4. That is the divisibility. And then you break. When you break, what happens? You exit from the loop. Now note it. Here also you exited from the loop, but once you exit from the loop, normally when the range fails, then you jump to the else. But when you exit from the loop using break statement, remember the break and continue statement we have discussed in while, it brings you the out of the loop. You jump to the out of the loop here, because 4 is not a prime number. And from here again what happens? You jump to the beginning of the loop, and this time your n becomes what? N is 5. Then you will check for 5. 5 is a prime number. Then 6 is a not prime number. Then 7 is a prime number. From here, then 8 is not a prime number. Then 9 is not a prime number. And then when it ends, you will exit from this loop. So when you exit from this loop, you will come to where? Here. This is end of the program. Your program will end. So this is how it will work. Now if we just check it whether the same thing happens or not, you can see this is what your program is, and if you run it, end of the program, this is what 2 is a prime number, 3 is a prime number, 4 is equal to 2 into 2, 5 is a prime number, 6 is equal to 2 into 3, that is not a prime number, 7 is a prime number, 8 is equal to 2 into 4, 9 is equal to 3 into 3, and so on. So it will give you something like that. And if suppose I want to make the same program for anything between 2 to m number, so I can say m is equal to int input enter a number and here since I want in between 2 to m, so I will use here m plus 1. My series will be m plus 1. If I run it, say suppose I want up to 200, I want to check which numbers are prime and which numbers are not prime. This is your result. You will get the entire result of prime numbers, the numbers which are prime, which are not prime, up to 200. Okay, since I have doing here m plus 1, that's why you are getting it up to 200. If I write only m, we will be getting up to 199 only. So this is how you can use it. And to explain the role of else in loops, I would like to show you this type of thing. It is applicable on both on for statements as well as on while statement both. This is the looping structure you can see, and here in the looping structure, if the condition is true, then these statements will be executed. These are the statements which will be executed if your condition is true, and if your condition is false, you will exit from the loop. So when you exit from the loop, these are the statements which are going to be executed. ठीक है, it means these are the statements which are outside the loop. Now the difference you can see, I have written these statements into two parts. The difference you can see, when I say continue somewhere in between the loop body, you jump to the beginning of the loop, you again reach to the condition is tested. If it is true, again a statement will execute. If it is false, you will exit from the loop. Okay, it means when you say continue, these you will not reach to these statements. These statements will not be executed when we say continue. Similarly, when we say break, you jump out of the loop, but out of the loop is this is your outside the loop. But when you say break, in case of break, you jump to the this portion of the loop. Okay, you will never reach to the else. Else is only possible when the condition is false. Note it, when this condition, when you exit the loop after being the condition false, then only you will come to the else portion. Okay, if you exit without any condition, then you will move to the additional portion. You will move beyond else. The else statement part will not be executed. So this flowchart is almost very much clear in program to explain the role of break, continue as well as else statement in a loop. So lots of program you can make. It is basically for the practice. Now there are just, you can see some of the series, like you want to find the series of natural number. These are the practice assignment. You have to do it. Say 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 up to n numbers. Okay, n is the input. Say suppose I want sum of first 10 numbers. So n will be 10. Okay, and your range will be 11, n plus 1. If you want to include 10, then range will be 11. Okay. Similarly, odd number sum, even number sum, or Fibonacci series. You know Fibonacci series? Fibonacci series is the series where a term is equal to the sum of its previous two terms. You know, the third term is equal to the sum of first and second term. The fourth term is equal to the sum of second and third term. In Fibonacci series, the first term is 1 and the second term is also 1. Okay, in some books they start with 0. That is wrong. The first term is 1 as well as the second term is also 1. Okay, and you can calculate. So you can create a Fibonacci series also. Similarly, suppose you want to print the following patterns. This is also for, in first line you have to print only 1 star. In second line you have to print 2 star. The star is being repeated. In third line you have to print 3 stars. So there is a repetition. Okay, so first line, second line, third line, fourth line, printing first line, printing second line, printing third line, printing fourth line, printing fifth line. This is what? Repetition. And in the line, printing 1 star, printing 2 star, printing 3 star. This is further repetition. So for and then again a for, nested loop. Okay. Similarly, this is also part of nested loop. But here we have to print the blank space also. So 4 blank space, then 1. Then only you can get this type of structure. Here, how many blank spaces? 3 blank spaces. Here only 2 blank spaces. Here 1 blank space, and here no blank space. So like this. Okay. Similarly, this one, this is also the same thing, but half portion. The 4 blank spaces, the 3 blank spaces, the 2 blank spaces, the 1 blank space, and so on. And here, so try to make these pattern. All the patterns, all these examples we have mentioned here, all these examples are using nested loop. A for, outer for loop and then inner for loop. Outer for loop will be responsible for line number, like printing line number 1, printing line number 2, printing line number 3. So you can say for I is equal, for I in range 1 comma n plus 1, 1 comma n plus 1, line number 1, starting is 1, and n plus 1, say you want to print up to 5th line, so your range will be 6. Clear? So this is how you can make it. So I would like to go through this particular thing, Fibonacci series question. I would like to show you a solution to the Fibonacci series question. So this is, we are starting with, say, a program. say up to how many terms you want. So n terms, n is equal to say int input enter number of terms. Okay, so here I am starting, the first number is suppose your a, the second number is suppose b, and I am writing what, a is 1 and b is 0. The first number is 1 and second number is 0. For I in range 1 comma n plus 1, or you can simply write for I in range n. That is sufficient for I in range n. So C is my Fibonacci series. C is equal to A plus B. Okay, then A is equal to B and B is equal to C. A is equal to B, A becomes second term and second term becomes third term, and so on. So this will be repetition, and here I am printing print say C. This is just to find nth term. If I run the program, what is the first Fibonacci term? You can see the first Fibonacci term is 1. If I again run, what is the second Fibonacci term? It is again 1. No, I have said first and second term. Now if I say run, what is the third Fibonacci series? That is 2. Okay, now if I want the sum, if suppose I want to calculate the sum, so sum is equal to 0. The initial sum is equal to 0, and here I will say sum is equal to sum plus what? Sum is equal to sum plus the series. Okay, and I want to print it also, so I am saying print C, then a plus sign, and I don't want to end the line, so end is equal to blank, nothing. Okay, there will be no end. And then at the end, when you exit from the loop, print the sum, say equal to sum. Say sum of 5 Fibonacci series, 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5, that is equal to 12, right? This is the sum of 10 Fibonacci series, say 1000. This is the sum of 1000 Fibonacci series. You can see how big number you are generating, and you can see the power of Python also, how fast it calculated. Just you press the enter key and the result is there. You know what is your result? Can you count it? Please count it. This is your result. This is the sum of first 1000 Fibonacci series number. Okay, so this is how you can make good programs. You can make the programs. Okay, this is one such program. Again running for 20 numbers on this. This is the program, and you can make good programs using this particular technique, this particular function. So try to practice onto it, and next time we will start string, list, tuple and all these things. So in string, list and tuple also we will be referring to the for statement. So how to iterate sequence we will discuss later on. Okay, so this is the today's session, and this is the assignment. Just I want to remind you that many of the students has not submitted the assignment, so you are requested to submit the assignment at earliest. Okay, so thank you students, and hope you will enjoy this session.